So we covered the first half. The second half is virtually identical, except it's the opposite. So we'll now go through Sutta 194. But before that, yesterday, one of the students texted me, Lock John texted me, and she was a bit unclear about the three kinds of faith that I mentioned, and the three kinds of doubts. Yeah. So the three kinds are faith in the in the validity or the presence of the teachings. Yeah. And then the second faith is faith in the value, the merits of the teachings. And the third is faith in oneself. So 三种性，性有实有，性有德，性有能。So then doubts would be to doubt that the teachings are valid, then to doubt the value of the teachings, and then the third one would be to doubt your own ability to practice. So it's basically just counter opposites. Anybody have any questions on that? Yeah, should be okay. If everything is okay, then I continue. So 194, today's Sutta Kāraṇapālī. Kāraṇapālī. On one occasion, the Blessed One was dwelling at Vesali in the hall with a pick roof in the great wood. Now on that occasion, the Brahmin Kāraṇapālī was getting some work done for the Lichabis. So you may have recalled the Lichabis. One of the days, one of the students asked about one of the sutta between the courtesan Ānpapālī and the Lichabis brother. So this is the same Lichavi. So the Brahmin was doing some work for the Lichavis. So the Brahmin Kāraṇapālī saw the Brahmin Piṅgiyānī coming in the distance and said to him, "Where is Master Piṅgiyānī coming from in the middle of the day?" So he saw him coming, so asked, "Where do you come from?" "I'm coming, sir, from the presence of the ascetic Gotama." So he told him he's coming from, he just met the Buddha. And you notice that here they refer to the Buddha as ascetic Gotama. So you will notice that throughout the Nikayas, different people refer to the Buddha differently. Yeah. And sometimes the same person, between themselves, they refer to Buddha as ascetic Gotama. But when they meet the Buddha, Master Gotama. A bit different also. So all the different references tell us how they relate to the Buddha. So, but generally speaking, in the Buddha's time, the Buddha was one of the ascetics that were around in that time. Yeah. So it's not that the Buddha was the only ascetic. Before the Buddha even left the palace, there were already ascetics. So, what do you think of the ascetic Gotama's competence in wisdom? Do you consider him wise? So, suttas like this give us a bit of background, a bit of backdrop. Yeah, it's not a given that the Buddha is considered as being wise or something. Yeah. So there are people who have heard of him, but just because you have heard of him, you may not immediately conclude that the Buddha is wise. Yeah. And notice they don't refer to him as the Buddha, right? As the ascetic Gotama. So this ascetic, that ascetic, so many ascetic, Do you think this ascetic is wise? So, who am I? So the reply, who am I, sir, that I could know the ascetic Gotama's competence in wisdom? Certainly only one like him could know his competence in wisdom. Oh. Yeah. So I will elaborate on this in a while. So then the reply actually gives us a few. You praise the ascetic Gotama with lofty praise indeed. Who am I, sir, that I could praise the ascetic Gotama? Praised by those who are praised. Master Gotama is best among devas and humans. Yeah. So even when told that he's praising, then he even say, "Who am I to be praising him?" Yeah. So a side note, in the monastery in US, we ever have a similar conversation about this. That like if someone say that let's say comment, if let's say some people comment that this venerable or comment that our teacher is his talk is very good or something, then some of us like, so you I think the comment was actually made by my teacher. I can't remember who made comment, but something like you need to be at the same level to know what level that person is. So if you say that the person is very enlightened, are you saying that you're enlightened? Yeah, something like that. So what grounds do you see, Master Piṅgiyānī, for placing such full confidence in the ascetic Gotama? So the reply, just as a man who has found satisfaction in the best of taste will no longer desire taste of an inferior kind, so too, sir, whatever one hears of Master Gotama's Dharma, be it discourses, mixed prose, verses, expositions, or amazing accounts, one will no longer yearn for the doctrines of ordinary ascetics and Brahmins. So the in-between part, be it discourses, mixed prose and verse, expositions or amazing accounts, these are a standard formula that you can find in other suttas. Yeah. So there are different formats of how the Buddha will teach. Sometimes he will give a discourse, sometimes he will speak in prose and verse, like almost like an utterance, and then sometimes to give full expositions, and sometimes relate a certain account of his past life to bring across a certain principle. So that's number one. Number two, just as a man oppressed by hunger and weakness who receive a honey cake will enjoy a sweet and delicious taste wherever he eats of it, so too, sir, whatever one hears of Master Gotama's Dharma, discourses, mixed prose and verse, expositions or amazing accounts, one will obtain satisfaction and placidity of mind. Yeah, so he used the metaphor of a honey cake. So it's homogeneous. So you bite here, it's nice. You bite there, also nice. Yeah. So he's describing the Buddha's teaching in this way. Yeah. Whichever part you hear, it will satisfy you and it will calm your mind. Just as a man who comes upon a piece of sandalwood, whether yellow sandalwood or red sandalwood, will enjoy a pure, fragrant scent wherever he smells it, be it at the bottom, the middle, or the top. So too, sir, whatever one hears of Master Gotama's Dharma, discourses, mixed prose and verse, expositions or amazing accounts, one will derive elation and joy. Do you all receive elation and joy when you read through the Nikayas? Just as a capable physician might instantly cure one who is afflicted, sick, and gravely ill. So too, sir, whatever one hears of Master Gotama's Dharma, discourses, mixed prose and verse, expositions, or amazing accounts, one's sorrow, lamentation, pain, dejection, and anguish will vanish. So this last part, sorrow, lamentation, pain, dejection, and anguish, this is a standard formula. Again, 愁叹苦忧恼. So this usually comes after the 12 links, 无明心行识行 and so on, up to 生缘老死 and 愁叹苦忧恼. So the 12 links, we usually learn the 12 links as it is, but in the sutta, after the 12 links, then it talk about these 5. These are 5 aspects of sufferings: sorrow, lamentation, pain, dejection, and anguish. In other translation, dejection and despair. And then the word dejection is sometimes translated as sorrow, lamentation, pain, distress. Sometimes translated as distress. And then followed by a whole mass of suffering. So this is just different aspects of suffering that we go through. So here it says, this Brahmin Piṅgiyānī says that it is like seeing a doctor, a capable physician, that when you hear the Dharma, the Buddha's teaching, then whatever form of suffering you have, will just vanish. So number 5, just as there might be a delightful pond with pleasant banks, its water clear, agreeable, cool, and limpid, and a man oppressed and exhausted by the heat, fatigued, parched, and thirsty might come by, enter the pond, and bathe and drink. Thus, all his affliction, fatigue, and feverish burning would subside. So too, sir, whatever one hears of Master Gotama's Dharma, discourses, mixed prose and verse, expositions, or amazing accounts, all one's affliction, fatigue, and feverish burning subside. So, you all feel cooled by the teachings? If still not cool enough, turn on aircon, okay? When this was said, the Brahmin Kāraṇapālī rose from his seat, arranged his robe over one shoulder, and placed his right knee on the ground, and he reverently saluted the Blessed One and uttered 3 times these inspired words. What are the inspired words? Homage to the Blessed One, the Arahant, the perfectly enlightened one. Homage to the Blessed One, the Arahant, the perfectly enlightened one. Homage to the Blessed One, the Arahant, the perfectly enlightened one. You all know what this verse is? It is what we recite every day. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. So you can imagine in those days, they probably didn't chant it, and here is interesting. It says that he saluted the Blessed One. But then from the earlier part, you can see that the Brahmin Kāraṇapālī was getting some work done for the Lichavis. The Buddha was dwelling in a hall with a pig roof in a great wood, right? And then he saw the Brahmin Piṅgiyānī coming in a distance, and the Brahmin Piṅgiyānī was coming from where the Buddha is. So that means that the Brahmin Kāraṇapālī didn't see the Buddha, right? Because from a distance, so what he would have done is he would have turned in the direction of where the Buddha is and then kneel down. In other suttas, you will see the person asking, like, and where is Master Gotama now? And then they will say, oh, he is in which which direction or in which place. Then it will describe that this person turn and face that direction, and then adjust the rope, place the ropes on one shoulder, kneel down with the right knee on the ground, with hands in veneration, and then recite this verse. Yeah, and you can imagine they would do this very, very respectfully. Even though the Buddha is not in front of them, they will just face that general direction and then say, Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Yeah, with so much respect for this person. Just simply hearing someone's praise of him, in this case. Yeah. So then he then further say, excellent Master Piṅgiyānī, excellent Master Piṅgiyānī. Master Piṅgiyānī has made the Dharma clear in many ways, as though he were turning upright what had been overthrown, revealing what was hidden, showing the way to one who was lost, or holding up a lamp in the darkness so those with good sight can see forms. Master Piṅgiyānī, I now go for refuge to Master Gotama, yeah, to the Dharma and to the Sangha of bhikkhus. Let Master Piṅgiyānī consider me a lay follower who from today has gone for refuge for life. Yeah. So they would basically just say this, and then after that, so the first part, just pay homage to the Buddha, and after that, make the declaration, that could consider him a lay follower. Yeah, and you notice that he's saying this to the Brahmin Piṅgiyānī, not to Buddha. Yeah, he's basically declaring to somebody that consider him to be a lay follower, who has taken refuge in the Buddha, Dharma, and the Sangha for life. So it's very interesting. Yeah. So he basically just make the declaration himself. Because in the Buddha's time, there's no ceremony. Really speaking, there is no ceremony to or officiate that you are now a Buddhist or something. Shomei wrote something here. Shifu, why are sutras usually preceded with how the disciples would adjust the ropes before saying what they want to say to the Buddha? How is that significant? And the knee, they kneel on. Yeah. So from what I know, to put the ropes on one side is a sign of respect to the object or to the person. Yeah. I heard one explanation before, but I can't say for certain whether this is really the case in the Buddha's time. But it is said that when they place the ropes on one side, it frees their right hand to do things. So in extension, this means that they are ready to serve. Yeah. So this is an expression of veneration, that I defer to you. I'm ready to serve you. Something like that. And it's similarly, when they circumambulate, they will keep the right hand towards the object of veneration. It seems as like this was the norm already. So there's no further. I don't recall any formal explanation anywhere else, except that in commentaries it describes in a somewhat in this way, more or less. Yeah. As for the right knee, I don't know. I don't know why they knee on right knee. Why not left knee? Yeah. But what's most interesting is when I went to India, and when I visit centers, Theravadan centers, Sri Lankan centers in Singapore, like during Katina, when I am invited to attend, to participate in the Katina, then I see in particular, the Sri Lankan lay followers. Yeah, we will also see the junior Bhante do that to the senior. So of course, in the Theravadan tradition, okay, I must explain. So you notice that in Theravadan tradition, they oftentimes already wear it this way. But the fact that they highlight, they adjust the ropes, it means that their ropes may not always be in this format. You know what I mean? Yeah. Then in present day, you will see sometimes where they wear the ropes fully wrapped, fully covered, right? And then when they are traveling, then when they arrive at the temple, then they will adjust the ropes and wear it this way. Yeah. And then when they see the senior, they would really do that. That they will like, let's say if Bante Dhammaratana is in front of me, then very naturally your left leg will be in front and you just kneel down and then he respects in this way. Yeah. So I've seen this in Singapore, and then when I go to India, the very interestingly, in India, I wasn't even wearing this. I was wearing the Chinese robes, and I met some local Indians. I don't know them; they don't know me. But then when they see me, they're like, "Oh!" And then they kneel down and they touch my feet. Yeah. In the first time some lay people reach down and then they want to touch my feet, what I'm trying to do. But then later I realized this is the way they express their veneration. Yeah. Because they'll touch their feet and then yeah. So, and it's not that these are young kids, the old lady, the amma see me there, kneel down. Yeah. So and in India, no less. So in India, not all of them are Buddhists. Yeah. So even regardless of whether they are Hindus or Buddhists or anything, they express in this way. So this practice is still done today. Yeah, but the right knee, I don't know why right knee lah. Yeah. Would anyone know? Have you heard of any explanation? Show me. Don't know also.
Don't know, but I recall that in Dharamsala, so usually towards the end of the teachings, His Holiness would have this ritual to conduct Bodhisattva vows, right? Then everybody has to kneel on only one knee. Can't remember which knee, but yeah. So this seemed to resonate, yeah.
I see. Yeah. So some of these practices still remain until today. Yeah. I remember that in Taiwan, right? Because in Chinese tradition, you either stand or you 长跪. That means you kneel on your knee upright. Yeah. But if we look at the
how do you kneel on your knee upright?
Sorry?
On your knee upright. What do you mean by kneeling on your knee upright?
So when you kneel, right, in the Theravada tradition, you kneel, but you are sort of like sitting on your heels, right?
Heels, yes.
Yeah, but in the Chinese tradition, we say 长跪. 长跪 means you kneel upright. Yeah. That means you form 90 degrees. So yeah, so the thing is in some of the commentary, the journals of some of the monks who went to India, they noted 18 different ways of expressing veneration. Yeah, so different forms that they witnessed in India, and then eventually over the centuries, then in the Chinese Mahayana tradition, we would stand upright, we would do a half bow, we would do a full prostration, but we also recorded down the different ones that is done in the Theravadan tradition. We also recorded down the ones done in the Tibetan traditions and so on. Yeah. So all the different traditions do differently, not because we are that different, but it's just that from the early days in India, all these different forms were done. It's just that eventually when Buddhism spread to different countries, different forms were more adopted than others. And then others, if it's not recorded down, then and eventually you just don't do it anymore, you know. So yeah, so next time you see Sifu, then when you take MRT, you see Sifu, immediately, oh, and you adjust your clothes, take out your tear open. Yeah, but it has a lot of cultural connotation now. Okay, so this is today's sutta. Tomorrow we go through the next one. The next one is on Piṅgiyānī. So the same person but in another sutta. One last thing to highlight. You notice that in this sutta, it's actually between two Brahmins. Yeah, the Buddha was mentioned right at the start, but the Buddha actually don't appear in the whole sutta at all. So a long time ago, like we grew up with the impression that all the suttas are spoken by the Buddha, right? Because there's always this question of like, oh, is this teaching actually taught by the Buddha? But then when we go through the Nikayas, no less, you find that among a good number of suttas, this including, you find that it is first not spoken directly by the Buddha. Secondly, it's not spoken directly by any of the chief disciple, nor any of the monks or nuns. Yeah, there are other suttas, the whole sutta spoken and like between the chief disciple or one monk to another monk and so on and so forth. But in this case, between two Brahmins. Yeah. So in that sense, the whole idea that, is it Buddha Vachana? Is it spoken by the Buddha? Then that claim is not so relevant anymore. Yeah, because even in the Pali Canon, you find that there are suttas not directly spoken by the Buddha. Yeah. So then the question of, hey, is Mahāna Sutra spoken by the... Well, of course, that questions can still be considered because in those sutra, it says that 如是我闻佛在什么了. It says that the Buddha was the one who said it. Yeah. If you make such a claim, then you need to justify the claim. Yeah. So that is still, yeah. But as far as the suttas is concerned, whether in the Pali Canon or in the Chinese Mahāna Canon, to me, the more important thing is whether the principle in the sutta, whether it points towards the path, or whether it conforms in principle with the whole body of teachings. That's to me more important. Yeah, to be fixated on the validity in terms of its source, whether it's spoken by this person or that person, I think would be kind of missing the point. Yeah. Okay. Oh yes, Alison wrote, "Good morning, Shifu from Albuquerque." Yes, I noticed that you all are online, and it looks like a hotel room. Is it the Comfort Inn at the Albuquerque? Welcome to Albuquerque. Yeah, we've made it into the States. I have a trivial question. Is it appropriate to recommend others to travel here or there to see or do this or that? It's not breaking any of the 5 precepts, but I'm doubting if such speech is perhaps not so appropriate because it's like promoting sensual pleasures. Yeah. So, short answer is as you said, it's not breaking on any of the 5 precepts, right? So is it appropriate to be making such recommendation? So the question is a few things, okay? Are you recommending to someone who is like for example, if a person were to recommend to Sifu to say, hey, come to this place, this or that place, you know. Wow, over here, 有东西看，有东西吃, you know, there are things to see, there are things to eat. The person may do it with the best intention, but it's up to me to decide whether that's suitable. Yeah, even for me. And for me, anyway, I'm not interested. So people can tell me all they want, but I'll be like, oh, okay, thank you very much. You know? Yeah. But is it appropriate for them to recommend to, let's say, monks and nuns? Not appropriate. Or not appropriate. But if it's recommending to other lay people, then it's a different story. It's a different story. Further, if let's say, for example, I have ever told students before, like if they have the opportunity to visit our monastery in US, and I've ever described to students, and I think I've told you all before, about how that place is very interesting, you know, high up in the mountain. And I mentioned to you all about this place around the monastery that is very vast. Yeah. So would that constitute this promoting sensual pleasures? It's a bit of a question mark, a bit of question mark. Yeah. For one, like if I'm purely telling people, hey, let's go for a road trip, then it's a bit different. Yeah. The main focus is to go to visit the monastery. Yeah. As to whether the specificity on is such a speech promoting sensual pleasure, Well, first and foremost, because you are lay people, ma. So there are two things here, okay? One is, is it something that is okay for you all to do? To begin with, for lay people, your life is about sensual pleasure. Period. Your life is about sensual pleasure. It's about the senses. Yeah. And period. But just because a person is a lay person doesn't mean that the person is indulging in sensual pleasure. Yeah. So for example, earlier, we administered the 8 precepts, right? So for one day, one night, some of you committed to living your life in a way that is akin to the enlightened ones, akin to monastic life, right? Other than the 不着相花蔓相由图生不够长期观听 the number 7 on adornments and entertainment, you notice that it's very specific, these two categories. Yeah, but there are many other sensual pleasure that we can think of also, right? You never talk about 不去走马看花 right? You never say cannot go sightseeing or what. But someone observing the 8 precepts probably wouldn't be too conducive, right? Yeah. Then so the question is, for lay people, are you observing 8 precepts every day? That's not a base precept. Yeah, it's an additional one that you take on a day-to-day basis. Yeah. So I think we need to not be troubled by the kind of like, oh, if I do this, is it like going against some precepts like this, like that, you know? Yeah. So let me just give some context to this. What about if we go on a pilgrimage? When we go on pilgrimage, you mean the whole trip we just see Buddha? No, right? most of the temples or monasteries are in very scenic places, isn't it? So you mean you go there, scenic, close my eyes. Where's the Buddha? Here. Oh, okay, Buddha. Namo tassa bhagavato. Oh, close my eyes. No, no, right? Yeah. So I would say it's not as it shouldn't be seen as all the way to this is promoting sensual pleasure in that sense. Yeah. But if you are ordained, okay, if you hear, let's say, from some monks or nuns, yeah, telling you, hey, 你没有去过日本? Have you gone to Japan before? Then you're like, oh, no, but I heard of Kamakura, I heard of the Daibutsu. Oh yeah, imagine the monk and nun say, oh yeah, that place quite nice. Oh, but I'm talking about Akihabara, that place, wow, a lot of electronic stuff like. Then Shinjuku. Did I pronounce correctly? Shinjuku. You've been to Shinjuku? Then you'll be like, Shinjuku? That's like the that's like the hot place in town in Tokyo. Yeah. Hey, Shifu, how come you know? Because about 20 years ago? 19 years ago, I went there. Yeah, before I became a monk. 20 years ago. My itinerary was planned out by my sister because she traveled quite a lot for her work. Yeah, so she was very kind. I don't have to think. I just tell her that I want to go. Then she said, "Come." Wow, she come out with a whole file, a whole file, all the itinerary. So before there was all the website providing all these services, my sister came up with it for me. Yeah. So was she promoting sensual pleasure for me? Well, to begin with, I was a lay person, right? So there's no fault of hers to be helping me to come up with an itinerary. Yeah. A huge part of it has to do with what the person is trying to do also. Yeah. So I wouldn't worry too much about it for you all to be giving some advice to others on places that you are familiar with. Yeah. Consider this, okay? Let's say Alison is a Singaporean, yeah? And now let's say Edward want to come to Singapore or Albert want to come to Singapore. And then you're like, I cannot recommend anything. Then Albert come to Singapore first time, at least Edward come to Singapore before. Then Edward don't know, then go and stay in Hotel 81. Then worse, right? Better for you to recommend what is a place that is not so sleazy, what are the places that have temples, then up to the person to decide where they want to go. Yeah, if the person came out asking you, hey, any place that is nightlife, then it's up to you to say, well, I know in the past, but I'm not interested in nightlife, so I'm not going to recommend to you. Yeah. But if you recommend the person, go and walk in the lower piers, upper piers, MacRitchie, I don't think that's too much of a problem. Okay? Yeah. In any case, welcome to Albuquerque. Yeah. You're now at the what you call that, highland. Yeah. Albuquerque itself is 6,000 plus feet. So as you travel up north towards Santa Fe, Espanola, and then Tahoe, you start to go up. Yeah. Gradually. I think by the time you reach Tahoe, you should be close to 7,000 feet already. It's a gradual incline. Then you go up further, go up a bit more. Then it's our monastery at 9,800 over feet. Yeah. So safe drive. Are you taking the shuttle bus or renting the car?
Actually, whenever Rukwan will come to pick us tomorrow.
Okay. So please again send my warmest regards to him. Pay homage to him on my behalf. Make sure you adjust your clothes on one side, kneel down on your right knee, and then pay homage to him. Then Okay, yeah. Take care of yourself. The place that hosted very few people. Yeah. So along the way on the drive, you find that at least 17 years back is very sparse lah. Yeah. I don't know about now, but shouldn't have changed much. Oh, okay. And take care. Let's do dedication. 愿消三障诸烦恼，
愿消三障诸烦恼，
愿得智慧真明了，
愿得智慧真明了，
不愿罪障悉消除，
不愿罪障悉消除，
世世常行菩萨道。
世世常行菩萨道。
阿弥陀佛。
阿弥陀佛。
Till we meet again, may we be guided and protected by the Buddha, Dhamma, and the Sangha. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. And as always,
乖乖。
all right, take care of yourself, stay safe. Bye-bye.